All right, so what we're going to take a look at now is how I can print the individual items. So I can create a loop for I in list, or say, for item. It's a variable, but it's kind of nice to use the word item as my variable. It's because I want to pass through each item in my list. For item in range, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the 0th item, right? Apple would be in the 0th item. My length is 6, but because there are 6 items in my list, but 1 is located at the 5th position. So I want to go from 1 to the length of my list, subtract 1, because the list is 6 items long, but number 1 is in the 5th position. Apple, first item is in the 0th position. So I'm going to loop through, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out my list, and to grab the 0th item, or the first item in the list is in index 0. So that's located at position 0, and item will take on the position 0. If I print this, it should print out everything in order. What have I forgotten for item in range? 0 to 0, comma, from 0 to the length of my list. And it's printed out my 6 items, apple, banana, durian, eggplant. Oh, maybe do I have to go to? Oh, because of course it goes up to, but not including the last item. Length of my list is 6, but when I create a loop, remember once it reaches 6, it will actually stop. So I don't need to do the -1 in this case. Run it again, it goes all the way, prints out every single item that I want. But what I would be doing is if I wanted it in reversed, I would be doing the same thing. So copy the same code. And now I'm going to put them in the opposite order. I'm going to go from the length of my list. I'm going to start at position 6 and go to 0. This is going to give me an error because there is no item 6, so I have to start at the 5th position. And this is not going to print out everything because once it reaches the 0th item, it's not going to print it because the loop will end. So I need to wait until I go to the negative first item, and I'm stepping through in the negative fashion by stepping through a -1. Let's show you, if I type in 0, it's going to stop 1 item short. So the last item is 1, goes all the way backwards to banana, but it didn't do apple. So I need to go to -1, and it will now print it in reverse all the way down to apple. So that's, and let me just kind of print to separate out our items, separate out our kind of print statements. So that's list in order. This is the list in reverse. And the nice feature about this is it's showing us how we can grab individual index items. An easier approach is if you just recognize something that's built into Python, as I can say for item in reversed my list. Print item. So this is easier, but it's nice to recognize that we can iterate through individual item, but there is actually a built-in function called reversed, and that will reverse a list. So if I run this now, we get the same output. And note that when I'm doing this for loop, it's not actually reversing my list. We can do that because if I now print my list, we'll see that it has been unaffected, that my list itself is continuing to be a app. It starts with apple, banana, coffee bean. So I hope that helps. If you've got other questions, please let me know.